Jesus, come on, boot up already. Takes longer and longer and longer and longer. One of these days, I gotta get this music off this tablet. Oh, jeez. One of these days, it's not gonna boot up. Come on, tablet, Jesus. Finally. Huh. Get with it. Get with it. Get rid of that. Well, look who's here. Kathy's here. Linda's here. Damn tablet took forever to boot up again. My life's in the fucking sewer as far as vehicles. Jesus Christ. My notes for tonight's show. And Ron is here. Okay, roll call's done. Come on. Yep, notes for tonight. So, how's everybody doing? Let's play a little music and get started. Broadcasting live from station WDWL TV, whose corporate studios are located on Grumpy Bulcher Boulevard, and my personal studio is located on Grumpy Old Man Road. And with that out of the way, God, even the charger, yeah, this battery is getting to be shit on this tablet. God, why does this mic sound so tinny? I don't know, maybe shouldn't be the headphones. God, the headphones are brand new. So, it is not good news for the RAV4. Not at all. Matter of fact, the mechanic next week is going to do a little disassembly inspection. Pardon me, vulture in my throat. And if it's what he thinks it is, the RAV4 will be going to pull apart, or whatever junkyard wants to give me the highest dollar after I strip all the equipment off of it. He seems to think that the timing chain for the camshaft jumped a couple of teeth. And unfortunately, it's not like you can bump it back, because the chain is, well, it's got 212,000 miles on it, so he thinks that the chain is loose and the chain tensioner is if, if there's a very slim possibility that he can retime it. If the tensioner still has adjustment. I guess there's a screw down on the timing cover that actually pushes the tensioner against the chain, because the chain runs this way over the two camshafts and down. First thing, he's going to check and see how far the tensioner is. If it looks like the tensioner has adjustment, he's going to attempt to retime it. But he isn't giving that much hope. Matter of fact, he told me to start technically removing all of my equipment. Like my... Oh, you ought to see the bank of scanners that I have inside, you know, because this was the WDWL TV mobile camera car. I got a bank of scanners. I have a GMRS radio. I have a ham radio. I have a CB radio. And then up on the roof, you guys might have to gargle this, I have a Federal Vector. This is, a matter of fact, New York uses the new updated version. It looks like a giant triangle, and it's got multiple pods, and they're all individual rotators. That is the oldest light bar that I have. Then I have two Federal Vistas. One has strobe lights and rotators, and the other one is all strobe lights. I bought the Vector from a police auction in New York. I bought the first Vista out of a police auction in a city outside of Chicago. And the second Vista I bought at a police auction down in Dayton, Ohio. You can't... you can hardly find this shit anymore. Mainly because the manufacturers got wise. And the LED lights, the pods that you see inside the roof lights, they're red or blue or all blue. And they're very hard to change. And nobody's buying them anymore. I mean, you can't use a red and blue light bar unless you're, you know, volunteer fire or volunteer police. One of these days I'll have to... I've got a picture of the RAV4 with the Vector on it. I love that light bar. Oh, I love that thing. It is so cool because it's a giant triangle. And the main pod in the center is a figure 8 traffic clearing light. It's white. And it goes in a figure 8. It is the neatest thing. Then you've got two pods next to it with takedown lights, and the back of them are alternating flashers. Then the next pod is rapid rotators, Then you've got okay, wait a minute, I'm screwed up. You got the pod in the center. These are the rapid rotators. Then you have the takedown lights with the alternating flashers in the back. And then you have pods on the outside, which are slow rotators. And you can turn them all individual. I love that thing. I get so many looks. They're illegal there? Really? The average citizen can't own one, huh? Wow. Now see, in Ohio, green was designated years ago for security. So I run green pods. And police, I'll tell you what, police have never bothered me. Never. Although I don't go running down the road with them going either. But it's just a shame that the fleet is slowly dissipating. I originally, when I got the Passat, I was going to make it like an undercover car. Because, believe me, I have a shitload of those undercover interior lights, green and white. And then I was figuring, well, since it looks like the RAV4 is going to go to the boneyard, and as much as I love the Vector, I'll put it on the Passat. And what makes it neat is the lights are green and white, and the Passat is green. Uh-oh. So, you know, years back, you could buy an old police car at an auction, and they were stripped down to nothing. They were just a car. I run into a guy the other day. He's got a 20... Oh, God, what year is that thing? A 2018 Chevy Tahoe. That the only thing they removed from that car was the two-way radio and the siren box. It's got everything. They left the light bar, the spotlights, everything. Of course, the light bar is, blue and red. I couldn't believe it. He said, yeah, they had a whole fleet of them. Twin spotlights, roof bar, the siren speaker in the grill, all the strobe, everything. The only thing they removed was the two-way radios and the siren box. And they took and steamed the emblems off. The police emblems or sheriff. I think it was an old sheriff's car. And he told me there was a whole fleet of them. Black and whites. You can't even own an old police car, huh? Wow. I had heard there were some cities and towns where if it was a black and white, before it went to auction, the guys at the city garage would take rattle cans and just spray the white and make it an all-black vehicle, which they look like shit. And then, on the other hand, I'm trying to think where he got this thing from. I want to say he said Cincinnati, Ohio. He said there were like 30 of them. Everything worked. Yeah, it prevents idiots from impersonating police. You know, because there have been idiots that have done that. They'll pull over a single girl, and the next thing you know, they find her taking that permanent dirt nap in the woods, you know. There are some cities that all the police cars go to junk. Which would make me cry. Oh. I bought one, back in 1971. Kathy, you'll enjoy this. In 1971, you won't believe what I bought. I bought the ex-Lindale police cruiser. They had two, and this one was time to come out of service. And I got wind of it, and I went one night to Mayor's Court, waited until Mayor's Court was over, and I asked the mayor, how much do you want for it? He gave me a price. I said, okay, I'll be here tomorrow with the money. And was that son of a bitch fast. Oh, man. Yeah, the old ex-Lindale police cruiser. And you remember how famous Lindale was. And those cops were crazy. They would sit. Now, Lindale also has a train yard at the edge of their little village. And I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 sets of tracks that run through the village. They would sit and clock the trains because the trains were not supposed to come faster than 25 miles an hour. And they would park alongside the track and shoot the radar gun down the track. And there was one day a train come through like at 50 miles an hour. They chased that son of a bitch all the way to Eastlake and cited the engineer. It was in the paper. Lindale cites railroad engineer for speeding. Yeah, they kept radioing ahead, you know. Stop the train, stop the train, stop the train. Finally, it hit Eastlake, and they were able to stop it without tying up traffic. And they wrote the engineer a ticket. They were crazy back in the day. Oh. And then finally, there was so much backlash that the state said, no more sitting on I-71. No more. Because that's how they supported the city. They wrote so many fucking tickets. And the area was like an eighth of a mile, or it wasn't. You would enter and the car would be here at the other end of the township designation, and that little short distance, they would write ticket after ticket after ticket after ticket. And then finally there was so much bullshit that the state went, no more. You can't sit on the freeway. And at that point they went from 3 police cruisers. No, they had 4. They went from 4 police cruisers to 2. And you rarely see a Lindale police cruiser. But back in the day, oh, that Ford that I had was well known. I would drive on the outskirts of Lindale, and people go like, Lindale, Lindale. Well, it was not Lindale, it was Dale, but I didn't know lights, no. I didn't want to get arrested by Lindale and have my ex-Lindale police cruiser impounded. You know, Linda, it was the only police department that messed with a train. The only one. But they had for that little quarter mile of track that ran through Lindale, they had speed limit 25 miles an hour. And they would sit and clock the fucking trains. Matter of fact, that when they ticketed that engineer, it made the papers, it was on TV. Yeah, Lindale cites railroad engineer for speeding. Of course, that was back in the 70s, you know. You know, I watched a video the other day. A very sad video. And you can look it up. It's on the channel Midwest Safety. It's from a year ago, September 2024. And the title of the video is The Tragic Death of Officer Daniel Kerstetler. And he was working DOT, and in Michigan, they have a law. Trucks, semis, can only travel in the right 2 lanes. And he had stopped this trucker out of Ohio, on top of it, for driving in the left lane. He had him pulled over, and while he had him pulled over, he was doing a mobile DOT inspection. Unfortunately, and the reason they knew what happened was the woman was on a FaceTime call. Now the phone was mounted. It wasn't like she was holding it. She was driving down the interstate doing a FaceTime call. Talk about distracted driving. And she had a seizure. And the car went across 3 lanes, and then her foot was on the accelerator, and it was buffeting off the right barrier. Well, unfortunately, she was doing 90 miles an hour, and she ass-ended the Chevy Tahoe for the Michigan State Trooper that was doing the DOT check. She folded that Tahoe. The back end of the car was up against the front seats. Now, unfortunately, and they couldn't determine whether she had passed away from the seizure or the collision. The officer was still alive at that time, but they needed the fire department with the jaws of life to get him out because the car, oh, Jesus. She hit the ass end and then drove it into the back of the semi, so a Chevy Tahoe was the size of a Volkswagen. The disgusting thing, and it just goes to show, people are assholes. You have a deceased female, and you have a state trooper who was gravely injured. On body cam, the one officer turned, and along the center wall of the opposite lane, I think it was northbound traffic, the accident was on the southbound side, people had pulled over and, oh, we got to get a video, we got to get a video. Now, mind you, the same thing could have happened to them on the opposite side by somebody gawking and ramming all those cars. But there were like 25 people. Oh, gotta get a video, gotta get a video. These cameras are one of the worst things I think they could have put in a cell phone. Because everybody today has to get a fucking video. Now, yeah, it's nice if you want to take a nature shot or, you know, a picture of a family member and you don't have your Yashica camera with you. Okay. But do you have to photo everything? Especially when you have a deceased person in one car and a gravely injured person in another that they are trying to pry out of the car. Oh, risk your life for a goddamn video so you can put it on social media? It's disgusting. And you know, the one trooper said, had we not had what we had, we would have cited each one of those people. But they had more important things. But to stop your car on the berm of the high-speed lane at rush hour to take a video? Absolutely disgusting. And like I say, it's on Midwest Safety, September 2024, the tragic death of Officer Daniel Kerstetler. Watch it for yourself. If you want, you know, speed through it until you get to the accident and look at all the assholes on the... And you see it constantly. The other day, perfect example. And Kathy knows Route 10. Lorraine Avenue. We call it Lorraine Avenue. It's State Route 10. The state troopers sit by St. Vincent de Paul Church and they run radar in the school zone. They can do it because it's a state route. And Cleveland's too goddamn busy, you know, short-handed. So I'm coming the opposite way. I'm headed eastbound, and the trooper has somebody pulled over, obviously citing them for speeding in the school zone. I look to my right, and standing in front, there's a daycare center. I think everybody, teachers, parents, were standing out on the curb getting a video of the trooper writing a ticket. What? You're going to post that on social media? Oh, look, trooper writes speeding ticket in school zone. You think you're going to get 1 million views? Everybody's got to get a camera and take a fucking picture nowadays. Living in this area, Kathy, you know what I'm talking about. It's just, do we need that many goddamn videos on social media? Is it that important to stop your life and go, oh? I mean, there are idiots that, and I know from experience because I talked to one. There are, like, it's a group of 4 guys. And they all drive around the city looking for flashing lights. And when they get to whatever it is, traffic stop, accident, they all jump out with their cameras. Now, gasoline ain't that cheap anymore. You're going to drive around the city waiting for strobe lights so you can get a video? Totally asinine. Totally asinine. Now, we're going to have a little trivia. Who remembers the 1970s with the Chevy commercial, baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet? And if anybody says, what commercial? Do we all remember that? Ruh-roh. Oh, here it is. I was going to say, no later. I found something the other day. The YouTube channel is Australian Ads. I just typed in 1970s commercials because I was looking for a certain commercial. Well, this Australian ad came up. Now, you can find it very easy. And I'll tell you how, but at one time, way back in the day, Australia had its own car division called Holden. Holden. Over time, Holden was purchased by General Motors. Okay? This is a little prequel to what I found. So, Holden is now a GM car. Listen to this. Okay, how come it's not? Hang on. Technical difficulty.
Australia, what's your favorite sport?
Football.
Snack?
Pies.
Animal?
Kangaroo.
And what's your favorite car, Australia?
Holden.
Let me see, that's football, meat pies, kangaroos, and Holden cars, huh?
Right.
Well, you sure sound like Australia to me.
We are.
Well, then you better tell me again, because I just might forget.
We love football, meat pies, kangaroos, and Holden cars. Football, meat pies, kangaroos, and Holden cars.
That's football, meat pies, kangaroos, and Holden cars.
Football and meat pies, kangaroos, and Holden cars.
I think you better tell me again.
We love football, meat pies, kangaroos, and Holden cars.
In case you're wondering, this commercial is brought to you by football, meat pies, kangaroos, and Australia's own car.
They go together underneath the sun and stars. Football and meat pies, kangaroos, and Holden cars.
Makes sense to me.
Football, meat pies, kangaroos.
Australia, what's your favorite
No,
sport?
we don't want to hear it again.
Snack?
Pies.
Animal?
Kangaroo.
Is that not cool how they adapted baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet with football, meat pies, kangaroos, and Holden cars? I played it about 20 times. I think my neighbor was like, boy, he's stuck in a loop. So you can find it under Australian Ads on YouTube, or like I typed in, because I accidentally blew it away, 1970 Holden commercial. And play it for anybody from our generation that remembers baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet. And it's a very cute video. That's why I wish Prism would let me do, because you want to watch the video while you're listening to the commercial. And you can tell Holden's were a Chevrolet. Little different grill, little different taillights. Except when you got to the big Holden, that was a Pontiac Bonneville. But you'll love watching this commercial. It's hilarious. But I happened to find it by accident, and I was like, how unique that they were able, with their advertising department, to adapt that commercial to the same music and come up with football, meat pies, kangaroos, and Holden cars. Like I say, look for it either under 1970 Holden commercial or Australian ads, and then the title, Holden Cars, Football, Meat Pies, Kangaroos, Australian ad, 1970s. I just thought that was the neatest. Like I say, I played it about 20 times. Football, meat pies, kangaroos, and Holden cars. I'll tell you what. The guy in the advertising department that came up with that, I hope they gave him a hell of a raise. Because they didn't really have to write a special commercial for Holden. They just changed the words and they used the same music. Haynes baked beans with astronauts. Oh, that's got to be a good one. Baked beans in astronaut suits. Oh, that's got to be a killer commercial. Yeah, I can't remember. I'll have to look it up. What the Bonneville was. It was a Holden something, but it wasn't. That's like, same thing. In the United States, it was a Pontiac Bonneville. But in Canada, it was a Pontiac Parisienne. Same car. Because some of them did make it down to the United States. My buddy's neighbor had one. I'm going to have to ask him if he still got it. It was beautiful condition. But it was a Pontiac Parisienne, not a Bonneville. And it was made in Canada. And the speedometer was kilometers. Because it was made for the Canadian market up there. And how he got it into the United States, I don't know. Because for the longest time, you couldn't bring a car in because the speedometer was different. It was Canadian, you know. But it looked just like a Bonneville. And it said Parisienne. Because I remember I saw it at a cruise-in one night. And I asked him, I said, why did you change the Bonneville? He goes, because it's a Canadian car. Now, back in the day, they were different. And then they basically, worldwide, if you notice, changed the speedometers, and they're dual. They're miles per hour and kilometers. The only difference is, like up in Canada, the mileage is in kilometers. But if you notice the dual speedometers on all cars today, I'll tell you, I met a guy at a cruise-in, and I think he told me it was one of three. He had a Pontiac Bonneville with a 409 V8 and a 4-speed. I thought he did a home conversion. He said, oh no, this is factory. It was a one of three, he said, that were built. A Bonneville with a manual transmission. It was unbelievable. Luxury, you know, it had the brocade seats that looked like a straddle lounger, you know, a lazy boy, with a 4-speed transmission. I think it was either a 69 or a 70. I could almost imagine what that car would be worth today. Especially being one of three built. And he had all the factory documentation too. Because I looked in, I went, a Bonneville with a stick? He said, yeah. Special order. I didn't even know you could special order one. I'll tell you, my next door neighbor with the towing company, who I have to thank, towed my truck for free. I'm indebted to him now. Ron, believe it or not, I had the same car with a removable hardtop. In the winter, I had a hardtop. In the summer, I took it off and put it in the garage and used the convertible top. I had the same car, a Fiat 124. I loved that car until it got stolen. But my next door neighbor has a pristine 57 Chevy. Oh my God. It looks like it just rolled out of the showroom. A frame off rotisserie restoration. Absolutely gorgeous. He only drives it like 3, 4, or 5 times a year. He keeps it down at his his shop. All right, Ron, here's a good one. I don't know how much of a mechanic. Did your Fiat have Solex or Bendix carburetors? The oddball were the Bendix. 90% of them came with the Solex carburetors. Matter of fact, I would love to have what he has in the garage right now. He's got a 1970 Opel GT. Remember the Opel GT? They called it the mini Corvette because it looked like a little... Matter of fact, I had one of them too. I had to wait. It was a lease return. I had to wait until January of '74 when it came in off a lease. And the car he's got right now in his garage is the same color orange as mine. I couldn't believe it. One day, opened the garage and went, "Holy shit, you got my car." It's not running right now. It's got an electrical problem. I told him, I said, hey, get to working on it. I want to take it for a ride. It'll bring back memories. Yeah, GM owned Opel of Germany. And they imported them, I think, only 4 years. They really didn't sell because they were expensive. And they sold at Buick dealers. If you wanted an Opel back in the day, you bought it at a Buick dealer. And I wanted a GT, and the salesman said, if you can wait, I've got one coming in off of lease. And he said it's about 6-7 months away. And he called me in January and he said, the car's here. Do you want it? And I was, oh, yeah, I'll be right up. And I drove it for about a year and a half, and I got ass-ended at a traffic light. And it was just enough damage to total it. Oh, the chocolate, that's a beautiful car. I've seen that color. But the yeah, on a Mercedes, that's a beautiful color. Now see, around here, older Mercedes, they're hard to find. Because the torque boxes in the back rotted out. And once they rotted out, your rear suspension was gone. Because over in Germany, they're not idiots like we are with the salt. Ugh. Because I remember back in the day, I could have bought a couple of Mercedes 250s, 350s, 450s. If you looked underneath them, oh, they were scary. Because they were all rotten. You'd have better luck finding one out there because You don't have that problem. Matter of fact, today is the first day I have both computers going. My twin monitors. I have my Holden commercial over here and me over here. I'm going to go on a rant. I'll tell you what. If I hear the term baby mama or baby daddy one more time, I'm going to take a pair of tweezers and pull my hair out by the roots. Oh my God, I am so tired of hearing this baby mama, baby daddy. Why can we not call it, the mother of my child or the father of my child? Oh no, baby mama, baby daddy. It is so disgusting. Talk about degrading slang crap. And the sad thing is, you've got like singers, movie stars, TV stars using the same fucking terminology. I can't remember what movie star the other day. Oh, my ex-baby mama. Oh, Jesus Christ. Sickening. So, I have kind of half-assed brakes on the truck now. I got full brakes on the rear, and I got about 30% on the front, because I've got a seized caliper. And I can't find any calipers. For a 30-year-old truck. Not to mention I already have enough money in it, more than what it's frickin' worth. It's sad to think what I paid to get brakes done and what I would get from a junkyard if I junked it right now. But with the RAV4 down, I had to have something. But at least it stops. And it don't leak. Well, it don't leak brake fluid now. Got all new brake lines, rear wheel cylinders, rear brakes are working beautiful. But with that seized caliper on the front, damn it. I can't even find a rebuild kit. So, hopefully, we're getting close to the point where the Passat is going to come out of probate. And I made him a pretty decent offer on the Corvette, which scares me because, nobody takes a perfectly good Corvette and just parks it for 5 years. We know nothing about the car. I made him an offer. When it comes out of probate, I guess I'm going to see if I bought something that I can drive or something I'm going to have to scrap. But like I told his son, you know, when I made him the offer, he was like, I don't think so. I said, hey, Dan, who takes a perfectly good Corvette convertible and parks it and leaves it set for 5 years? Right now it's down on all four. Hopefully the tires will air up and hold. I said, nobody in their right mind. And I said, you know, your father's got a lot of cars. No one takes and buys a Corvette that's in good condition and parks it and ignores it for 5 years. I said, there's something wrong with that car. And I said, I'm willing to take a chance. I mean, this thing ain't no cherry. Matter of fact, on the left front fender, the paint is delaminated so bad it's down to the gray fiberglass. So I don't know why Jim bought it. Well, Jim had a bad habit of, it's a project car. Like the poor Porsche. He's got a Porsche 944. Unfortunately, it's the 4-cylinder, not the 8. That has basically been sitting for 8 to 10 years. Nobody knows what's wrong with it. I would love to have that car, but that's scary. Not to mention with it happened, the little dinky 4-cylinder, well, not dinky, but it's no collector's piece. Nobody wants the 4-cylinder, they want the 8. But, you know, 10 years ago, when he parked it in front of the garage, it probably was a beautiful car. Not now. Because his son said, I'll make you a deal. Because he wants to get rid of shit, see. He said, take the Passat, I'll throw in the Porsche, and I'll give you a deal on the Corvette. Now the Porsche is an 86. I'm having problems trying to find parts for a 97, let alone an 86. And unfortunately, it's going to need everything. I said, nope, I pass on the Porsche as much as I'd like to have it. But being a 4-cylinder, that was like the economy grandma grocery getter car back in the day. But it's just sad that we have no idea what's wrong with the Corvette. I'm going to take a chance on it. being a Corvette, it's a 92. Parts are still readily available. And they're reasonable. Because basically, like, 92, the rotors, the calipers, they were on everything. It wasn't like those were like today. Calipers, rotors, anything is strictly the C8. Back in the day when they were building the C4s, everything had the same. Same rotors, same calipers, same brake lines, same everything. So, hopefully, probate court is moving things along. I mean, right now, the corner of my living room looks like a warehouse for Volkswagen. Yeah, Linda. I mean, I'm trying to think. I think it's a 1.8 liter 4-cylinder, which is about the size. The engine in my Nissan is a 2.0. They're about the same size. But the way, the way they're geared, the way the transmission is geared and the differential, the Porsches were quick, but not as quick as the V8. Like I say, the 4-cylinder Porsche, what? They were grandma's grocery getter cars. It's basically a bottom end Porsche. But with it sitting for so long, I mean, I can imagine all the brake lines are probably rusted away. The fuel lines are all rusted away. And as soon as you say Porsche, call the finance man. I mean, it's with a a wet sand and a rub and a buff. The black paint on that car, because I checked a couple of spots, it would be gorgeous. But being a 4-cylinder, I have no interest in it. I want something that's going to get and go, not a grocery getter. And like with the Corvette, they even, this is a baseline Corvette. It's got the small 8 in it, the 6-speed, but even back in the day, the basic Corvette was a quick car. So I'm hoping there's nothing major. Like I say, his son has, as a matter of fact, his son didn't even know he had it, because they were kind of estranged when Jim bought it. And then his son went over to, the house up the street, and he went, holy shit. I got an old Dodge Dakota, an old Chevy Nova, and a Corvette. And we don't know if there's anything in the garage. I'd like to get a decent, I'd like to look at that Dakota. As much as I don't like Dodge. First of all, to see if it's a manual and see what kind of shape it's in. But it's parked back behind the house and I can't see it. And Jim's got a big giant gate in the driveway that's 8 foot tall, so you can't get over it. What is her new birthday present? A shotgun? Is she out there looking for squirrels or what? Oh, really? She's a bow hunter? That takes fucking skill. Oh my God. And it's velvet week. Oh. I don't know if they have Velvet Weekend up here in Ohio. Oh, a crossbow, that takes skill. There's even a lot of guys that can't handle a crossbow. Oh, I hope she gets something. Is it a compound? A friend of mine has one, a compound crossbow. Oh man, he could put an arrow through me with that thing. And the neat thing about bow hunting, you don't scare the deer because it don't make a noise.
Yeah.
And when the deer falls over, the others are like, why's he got a stick in his head? Yeah, that's the neat thing about bow hunting. They don't make no noise. When I was managing the body shop at, you'll know this one, Kathy, Crossroads Lincoln Mercury in Independence. 2 of my body men were bow hunters. And they would take off for bow season. Every year they'd put their request in. Because I remember they had brought a couple of hay bales in. And they set them up because behind the dealership was a big woods. And we were like, whew. I never could find my arrows. They weren't anywhere near the target on the hay bale. There's probably some guy in the other side of Independence that had an arrow stuck in his tire. Where'd that come from? But I'll tell you what, to hunt with a crossbow, that takes skill. It really does. More skill than if you were hunting with a rifle. Because you have to gauge the wind, because if you don't gauge it right, the wind catches that arrow. I hope she gets something. The arrow tips light up so the deer sees it coming. Little LED light. What's that? Oh! And then all the deer around it going, look, he's got a flasher on his forehead. Ding, 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 ding. Come on, Shirley, get up. What do you? Come on. How come you're laying on the ground? Next thing you know, whew, oh! Yeah. Hey, Marvin, come here, look. Charlie's got a flasher on his forehead. He's got an extra antler. Ding, 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 ding. Although it's about time, with modern technology. Oh, Jesus Christ. Really? Now those things, they sound like cannons when they go off. Yeah, I know Ohio had, before Maine hunting season, they have black powder season here. They call it black powder season. I can't remember. It's 4, 5, 6 years ago. There was oh God, I think she was 23 or 24-year-old college student. During bow season, she got the biggest buck. She got a 12-pointer. Because my buddy he used to hunt all the time. He gets a hunting magazine, and they wrote her up. And right, Linda, it's a proven fact that technically a female can shoot better than a male. Because males are in too much of a fucking hurry. Females have patience. You know, the male sees a deer, quick! Damn it, I missed. A female sees a deer, got him. The only problem with black powder, when that sucker goes off, it scares the shit out of the rest of the herd. Although, so does a rifle. But an arrow, by the time the deer hears it, it's stuck between his eyes. And boy, does it, I'll tell you what, I fired a muzzle loader once. I thought, I thought my shoulder was broken. Holy Christ, the kick on them son of a bitches. Of course, that's why they wear the shirts and the jackets with the padding, you know. Yeah, my buddy, he loaded it up. Here, go ahead, Grumpy, shoot it. Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm calling the ambulance. I broke my clavicle. So my hat's off to any female that can use a crossbow and a muzzle loader. Because both of them take patience. I hope she gets lucky. You'll have to keep us posted on hunting season. Let me shut this computer down over here. I don't need it now that I played my commercial. Oh, beautiful. Microsoft update. Okay. Download and restart. All right. Yeah, when you're bow hunting or you're musket hunting, you have to have a lot of patience. And you have to be a good shot. But I know my two body men, they told me that, you know, when you're bow hunting, you literally have to be a meteorologist. You know, you got to have a little Al Roker in you because you got to check the wind, what direction it's coming. It's not like when you're firing a bullet, because the wind will tilt that arrow and it'll go one way or another. Good for her. That's outstanding, Kathy. I hope she gets lucky. I really do. I'll know as soon as hunting season starts in Ohio, because the deer will be in my backyard. Every year, they're here. I'll have to buy a couple bags of apples so they have something to eat while they're hiding from the hunters in my backyard. Yeah, I can always tell when it's hunting season. Hell, was it 2 years ago? Or 3? I looked out the window one morning, there were 10 back there. I was like, holy shit, I ever heard. They love my backyard, especially that big, huge evergreen that's back there. They go underneath it. Although I have pictures of last winter when the pregnant female was out there with the buck. He was an 8-pointer. Then some goddamn wild dog scared him off. I was hoping for a little deerlet in my backyard. Bambi. That dog scared them and they never came back. And they were here for like a week and a half straight. Goddamn yappy ass animal. I noticed when my neighbor's wife left, she took the pit bull. Because yesterday when I was talking to him, I said, "Where's Taco?" Not here anymore. His name technically is Paco. I used to piss her off calling him Taco. I kept telling her I didn't hear well. What's his name? Taco? Taco? She'd be, it's Paco. That's what I said, Taco. He didn't like me. Although I'll tell you what, she never had to worry about being alone around the house. Holy shit. That goddamn dog would have ate somebody. I have to admit, and I'm not a dog person, that was a beautiful animal. He really was. But you could tell that was her protector. I'd walk out in my front yard and the dog would look at me like, the driveway's the boundary, don't be coming over here. Okay. Okay, Taco. That dog would watch me. He wouldn't take his eye off of me. I could get to the edge of my lawn, set foot on the driveway, there were teeth showing. I'm like, okay. She'd be go, wait a minute, I'll put him in the house. I said, no, he's doing his job. I'm not coming over any farther. Jesus Christ, those updates are taking forever. I guess before, what is it, the middle of next month? Or the end of next month? That Microsoft won't be supporting Windows 10 anymore. Evidently, they're getting the last of the updates in. God, I don't want to go to Windows 11. Jesus Christ. Although, what's the new version of Windows? Is 11 still it, or has Microsoft come out with 12 or something? Although I'll tell you, I don't know what they were thinking. When they came out with Windows Vista, oh my God, that was the shittiest version of Windows I ever, oh God. But I think the best version was XP. Although they made a lot of improvements in 7. But it's that typical obsolescence, you know. They force you to keep buying new computers, new laptops. I can't afford to keep up with it. You know what was the best thing about XP, Kathy? If you went out and you bought like a printer, you didn't have to have a disk. You plugged it in and XP automatically installed it. Like the way Apple computers have been for years. You never needed installation disks with Apple. But when they came out with XP, because I remember I bought a printer, I plugged it in, I turned it on, and I went to load the disk. And next thing I know, it says, installing printer. That was, but do you remember you remember Vista? Oh, God, they couldn't give them computers away. Matter of fact, I remember when my buddy had his computer shop, he wouldn't even take a Vista in trade. He was like, nah, sorry, too much of a headache. God, when you had to do updates on Vista, it took you all day. Oh. My update's almost done. Yeah, that wouldn't have happened with Vista, really. But XP was outstanding. I'll tell you what, all the code writers for Microsoft earned their paychecks with that. But I still can't believe Bill Gates actually let them finalize Vista and put it on the market. Oh, God, that was the worst. I don't know what they were thinking. That was the worst version of Windows ever. Of course, they saved themselves with XP. But I liked XP because you didn't need installation software. It automatically would update drivers for you. That was a great addition. Seven wasn't bad. But see, everything I own is 10. This computer, that computer, the one out in the living room, the two over here in Studio 2, my laptop, my netbook, my good old Gateway netbook. I bring that thing out every now and then, and everybody's like, Gateway? What do you think of 11? Is it really that much better than 10? Did they really make any changes? I really don't want to upgrade until I have to. until I'm forced into it. I mean, I was able to use 7 probably for 2 years, 3 years. And then it got to be the point where I couldn't do Google updates. So then I was forced to go to 10. That's what I hear, Kathy. I don't want to think. Maybe one computer. Maybe. I'll just play it by ear for a while. Although I think 11 is the newest. I haven't heard of Microsoft introducing a 12, or if they're going to call it 12, I don't know. I got an email from Dell. I'll have to read through it and see what's on the computers. Not that I can afford a new one. Shit. With what I just spent on the shit box, my emergency fund is gone. I really didn't want to spend that kind of money on that truck, but unfortunately you have to stop. You definitely need brakes. No 12 yet. Yeah, well, Microsoft does that. They come out with a big major update, and then sometime, I'll say like the middle of next year, like June or July, then they'll come out with 12 or whatever they're going to call it. Come on, Jesus, what are you doing? Okay, fully updated, good. Now I can shut it down. Come on, shut down. There we go. My second computer is that little mini small form factor. It's about the size of a book. Like the ones you see when you go to the doctor's office. The ones that are hanging off the back of the monitor. At least all my doctors. You look at the monitor sitting on the desk. I always get nosy. I look behind it like, oh, have them little tiny computers. Although if you notice, more and more and more and more of those are on the market, them little ones. It's amazing the computing power that's in them little ones. It's like my buddy's grandson. He unplugs his computer, and he takes it to school with him, and then plugs it in at school. In I can't remember what school he goes to, in study hall, they have a corner of the study hall that's set up with monitors and all kinds of cables. You can bring your computer and plug it in. Like going to the library, you know. Matter of fact, one of these days I'm going to have to stop it. They build a new library down across from the shopping plaza. I haven't been in it yet. Supposedly they like doubled the area where the computers were. More computers, fewer books. Oh, I don't know if anybody ever followed him. Did you ever see Caught in Providence with Judge Caprio? I can't remember what cable channel. It was a syndicated. It started out on their, like, NPR, like their national public TV. Their local. And Judge Caprio was a traffic judge. Yeah, you see it, Kathy? Oh my God, I was so sad to see that. Especially considering they thought he beat that pancreatic cancer because they caught it early. Although it was nice of them to rename the courtroom after him. And I'll tell you what, it almost made this old man cry. He was just so down to earth and compassionate. Of course, he had retired, but I saw that and I was like, oh no. And you know what I missed? Lonnie Anderson died. It was like the beginning of August. I just saw it yesterday. She was like in her early 70s. I remember her from WKRP. Evidently, they didn't have too much on the local news because I don't know how I missed it. Yeah, she died like the beginning of August. She had uterine cancer. I didn't even know she was sick. Boy, talk about something that kept secret. Yeah, she died like August 3rd, August 4th. You know, when you're looking at 70s, that's too young. Judge Caprio made it to what, 88? I think they said. But the doctors were quite hopeful because they even told him that the cancer was still in the pancreas. It hadn't spread. But I didn't even see anything where he was ailing. You know, the last thing I saw, he was doing pretty good. Because he did a couple of interviews. But God, that was enough to make me cry when I saw that. Although I used to watch him. Talk about a difference between him and Judge Judy. And then he had that, what was it? The Philomena Fund. People would send in money, and if people couldn't afford to pay their ticket, he would take it out of the Philomena Fund. That was his mother's name. He called it the Philomena Fund. He was one of a kind. He was one of a kind. There'll never be another one like him. It ruined my morning. It really did. I'm not afraid to, you would think that I lost a relative. I was really down. Oh, is that what happened? Well, they got him, what, couple years? In that couple years, that's sad though. They were so hopeful that they had caught it, and although I remember the one doctor when he said, I think we got it all, which is polite for saying, well, we got 99%. But that was, you know, you would think I lost a family member. I was really upset to see that. And then, you know, the news is playing clips, and I was like, oh, God. Old Grumpy almost cried. All right, Linda, I got a question. I don't know if it's just me. Now, you went through chemo, right? I'm pretty sure you told me you went through chemo. Like I say, it might be just me. But since going through several sessions of chemo, I have become like extremely sentimental. I mean, when I saw that about Judge Caprio, it almost brought me to tears. And I've never been like that. Never. Never. Grumpy's always been the crab ass old man. But it just, God, it set me off. Jesus. I got to the point I couldn't watch any more videos. I was like, I'm going to need a handkerchief here in a minute. I even told my shrink, and he couldn't explain it. I was like, oh, gee, thanks. I'm coming to you for answers, and you got no idea. Matter of fact, I got a notice that my sessions with him will be soon coming to an end unless my pain management doctor puts in another request. Otherwise, you have to pay out of pocket. I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, I had more side effects from goddamn chemo. Of course, like my doctor said, it's like 1 in 500 people. Oh, gee, thank you. I have to be number 500, huh? Well, Linda, I'm glad that I'm not the only one because, boy, I'll tell you, it was getting close to handkerchief time. If I'd have watched any more videos, I think I would have lost it. But it seems like after the last round, I get really touchy at things. Perfect example, okay? Now, everybody has probably seen the movie Marley and Me. The ending was sad. But I was like, yeah, okay, animals unfortunately pass away. When I watched it 3 months ago, again, because I have a DVD, it was almost handkerchief time. I was like, oh, please, no. Not Marley. No, 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 no. I've never been that way. Never. Yeah, Linda, maybe I attribute it to basically not having a little female around the house and having my buddy. Oh, God, if I ever lost him, oh, Jesus. I don't ever even want to think of that. Of course, I could kick his ass. He started this new thing. And I don't know what it is. I'll be scratching under his chin and scratching his cheeks. And then he'll be nuzzling my hand. And then he has to give me a little bite. Not a chomp, but just a little. And he just started this a couple weeks ago. I don't know what it is with him giving me a bite. I'm like, hey, you son of a bitch, you bit me. Matter of fact, talk about biting me. Turn the hand the other way. Come on. Damn it. Look at that. Of course, I really like it now that, I get a bump or a bruise and it turns into like somebody beat me with a sledgehammer. I don't even want to think about something happening to him. Oh my God, I'll lose it for sure. I mean, it doesn't help that out of all the cats I've ever had, he is the most unique. I mean, I have never had a cat that does some of the stuff that he does. I hate to say it. If something ever happened to him, I don't know if I could put myself through another cat. I really don't. It's sad that when you come down to it, they have a limited lifespan. You think they're going to live 20, 30 years? No. And you get so goddamn attached to your animals that when that 12, 13, 14-year time rolls around, you're like, oh, man, I don't even want to think of this. I guess it's because we think they're going to live as long as we do. And I know every time I lose one, like socks, oh, he was so cool. He was 13 or 14. And he used to go between me and my son. And he was laying in bed. And he got out of bed and went upstairs like he always did. And like 2 in the morning, my son came down and said, he died. I said, what do you mean he died? He was laying on my son's chest. My son was petting him, and next thing you know, he dug in with his nails, and they figured fucking heart attack. And you know, Kathy and Linda, you know, like my shrink told me, we grieve more when we lose an animal because they give us 110% and expect very little in return. And I believe that. Like with, you know, old Bootsy. You know, give him a couple of scratches under the chin and give him his delectables at night and a couple of cat treats, and he's happy. Well, Linda, like I say, I was never that way. I don't know if it's age or going through all the fucking chemo, but it just seems like after the last time, I just... And like I said, let's say, watching the different clips of Judge, you know, I didn't know him. He wasn't family. I never met the guy. He just had that effect. Matter of fact, they had some clips on today and the news. I like, I can't watch them. No. Can't watch them. But he was definitely a one of a kind. And the amazing thing was, he was invited all over the world. Because I saw where he was given a speech. He was in the UAE, United Arab Emirates. They invited him over to give a speech, to give a talk. And he said he had invites everywhere. He even got invited to China. He didn't go, but he got invited. It's amazing the impact that he had around the world. There were two places he said he didn't go, China and India. I don't know why, but I saw the talk that he gave it in front of all the sheiks. And he's just a lowly traffic court judge. Amazing. He was just amazing. He'll be missed, I'll say that. Oh, I gotta get off that subject. Although, God, I can't remember the name now. I'm not a big person for like turkey loaf and chicken loaf and stuff like that. I was getting kind of tired of ham. But I can't believe I said that, but... And I can't remember what brand it is. I got this oven-baked turkey. The stuff is outstanding. I even bought some more today. I can't remember if it's Thurman's. I'll have to look on the label. Hopefully it's on the label. It's oven baked turkey. Absolutely outstanding. And hearing from that, from me, now they had oh, what the hell was that chicken loaf? Buffalo wing chicken loaf. The guy gave me a slice to try. That was pretty good too. But this turkey, I think it's Thurman's. It tastes just like if I took a turkey out of the oven that I had baked and absolutely top notch. But you know, I got tired of the ham off the bone and Black Forest ham and honey ham and this ham and it. I can't believe I'm saying that. Oh, geez. And today, I bought some nice, I can't remember, oh, what's the name? I bought a loaf of brioche bread, thick sliced, almost like Texas toast. I'm going to make me some grilled cheese. And I got me a nice big tomato. I'm going to put a slice of tomato in the middle of the grilled cheese with the brioche bread. Oh, that's for tomorrow. You know, Linda, since Judge Judy left national TV and bought her own production company, she's gone to Hollywood for me. Yeah, Kathy, this bakery is one of those kind of niche, and everybody was telling me they've got the best brioche bread. And I've had a taste for grilled cheese. So it's thick sliced. It's almost like Texas toast. I got me some good American cheese, real American cheese, none of this processed food bullshit, and a nice tomato. And tomorrow night for dinner is going to be brioche grilled cheese with tomato. And I think I have some bacon too. Maybe I'll fry up some bacon. Now, I've never done a grilled cheese with brioche. I usually use brioche when I'm making French toast. Oh, it's the best for French toast. Oh, man. But Marianne said to me, try it with grilled cheese. You'll love it. So today I'll write the name of the bread company down. But it looks, oh, the bread looks beautiful. I mean, as a matter of fact, I think I have a turkey sandwich calling my name. Oh, gee, we're down to 13%. Hopefully we can have some music here. Nope. Okay, we got some music. All right, everybody, it's been fun, even though we talked about some sad with poor Judge Caprio. But all right, everyone, have a wonderful rest of your evening. And Linda, I hope your thyroid kind of calms down. I'll be thinking about you tonight. I know that can be a bitch. And everybody, take care. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. And we will meet again right here at WDWL TV tomorrow night. And with that,